بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to this new pre-recorded episode of Ask Zad, which means that we will not be taking your calls and it would be only answering the questions from the emails. Sania sent us an email saying, while I'm still in the state of ihram for Hajj, is it permissible for me to have a bath, to change clothes, and to comb my hair? Or do I have to be in the same dress till the Hajj is complete? In India and Pakistan, people say we must be in the ihram throughout the Hajj and not take a shower and not to comb hair, etc. First of all, do not follow the culture when it comes to religion. Religion is not taken from the elders or from what the people say. Religion is taken only from the authentic sources of the Quran and of the Sunnah, which means that this eliminates the possibility of people manipulating you or claiming things that are not from the religion. And this is one of the biggest problems that the Muslims face. They feel confused. People toss them right and left like children playing with a football. And they don't know what to believe and who to follow. There is the Quran and the Sunnah that will never change, that are preserved until the day of judgment. You follow them, you are on solid grounds. So what the people say to you, that you do not change your ihram, you do not take a bath, you don't comb your hair, all of this is baseless. Where is the evidence that prevents it? Does Islam tell us to stink and to smell? A'udhu billah. What is prohibited for a person in the state of ihram is to apply perfume. But the Prophet himself, alayhi salatu wasalam, took a ghusl before commencing to the Kaaba to do his tawaf and sa'i. So cleaning yourself, washing and having a shower or a bath while in the state of ihram is totally permissible and recommended. Even if you take 2 or 3 showers a day, no problem. But don't apply perfume, no deodorants, nothing. Changing your garments of ihram or your dress is totally legit. You can do that once, twice, or any number of times during the day or during your journey without any problem. Combing your hair is also permissible, even if some hair would fall, because there's no prevention of that in the Quran or in the Sunnah. What is prohibited is to shave your hair, and combing it is not shaving it. Therefore, Sania, there is nothing wrong in all of that, insha'Allah. Anjum says, is it permissible to go to restaurants which are mixed and have music playing? Almost all restaurants have these nowadays. First of all, Anjum, as far as mixing, there's no mixing in restaurants. The concept of mixing is different to what you are thinking, because what you're describing as mixing can be found in airplanes. So does this mean I cannot travel because I'm in the same airplane where there are non-mahram women? It goes with buses, public transportations, trains. It even goes to haram when I'm making tawaf. There are so many women around me. So is this mixing? The answer is no. There's no mixing here because this is not planned for. We're not communicating. We're not chit-chatting. We're not exchanging gifts or anything else. So there is no free mixing in a restaurant. They sit on their table, I sit on my table, and that is it. I don't have any mixing with them. As far as music is concerned, we've mentioned this before, all types of music is haram. However, if you go to non-Muslim countries, and unfortunately even to Muslim countries, if you go to Egypt, if you go to Malaysia or Indonesia or anywhere else, you will hear music 24/7. Even when you are in the elevators of your hotel room, there is music in the elevator. If you go to the restaurant, there is music. If you go to the gym, there is music. If you ride in the car with a taxi, there's music. The malls, there's music everywhere. You go to a particular shop, in the shop there is different type of music. So unfortunately, people are hooked to music. They're being addicted to it. They can't live without it. And you can see this clearly if a person's driving and all of a sudden his radio is off and he cannot hear any type of music. He will feel nervous, disoriented, because he's not listening to what he's used to 24/7. So this is a dilemma. Some people say, I don't need to go to restaurants. I can sit and eat home. I can buy delivery from restaurants and I eat in the comfort of my hotel room or my room or my house without being exposed to haram music. And this is a respected view. Other people say that there is a difference between hearing and listening. So if you hear music and do not pay attention to it, and it's unintentional, and you have no hand in it, then you're not sinful. While if you listen to it, if you pay attention and enjoy it, or you request it, or you don't demand it being turned off, then you're sinful. And this is what Sheikh Al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah has made this distinction, the difference between as-sama' and al-istima', hearing and listening. Hearing is something that is random. I'm in my car, I'm at a traffic light, someone next to me in his car is blowing the music to full blast. So I have to listen? No, but it reaches my ears and I hear it and I'm not paying attention to it. I'm not sinful for that. This is different than someone tuning the radio or listening to a track that has music and he is enjoying it. He is liking what he hears and listens to. Then this one is a sinful person. So this is up to you and to your preference if you want to go to such a restaurant. I personally prefer that people do not go to such restaurants. If you are in a Muslim country and you go, before entering, Akhi, please turn it off. So sorry, we can't, there are other customers, Assalamu alaikum, and you leave. If you are in a non-Muslim country, most likely they will be serving ham and wine, and it's not befitting for the likes of you to be in such a place, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. Fariha says, is flavored hookah or shisha without alcohol content allowed in Islam? First of all, hookah or shisha do not usually have alcohol. They're not intoxicant. And they are prohibited because they fall under the category of smoking. So even if you use this hubbly bubbly or shisha or hookah and you put this nicotine-based tobacco in it whether it's strawberry flavored or apple flavored or whatever, it still has the same ruling. It's damaging and hazardous to your health. So it is prohibited to use, and usually I don't know of it containing any alcohol at all. So it doesn't intoxicate you, but it harms you drastically, and this is totally prohibited. Roxana says, I have a 22 carat of gold, 18 carat of gold with diamonds, 21 gold carat, silver jewelry with diamonds in it. When I ask the jewelers, they say 22, 18, and 21 carat of gold cannot be converted into 24, as it is impossible to raise lower carat gold to 24. So I cannot exactly know the value of to calculate my zakat. I'm confused. How do I calculate my zakat on the jewelry I have? Your question is a little bit strange, Roxana, because you are not obliged to convert it into 24. You're asked to do your calculation so that you would know how much is the total amount of gold which you possess, so that we could tell whether it is zakatable or not. So the zakat threshold is 85 grams of gold, of 24 karat gold, which means that if you have 85 grams of 22 karat of gold, this is not zakatable. Why? Because it is definitely below 24 karat of gold. The two missing are usually copper. So the actual 24 karat gold in this amount would be probably 83.5 or 84 grams, maybe. So if you have a lot of gold, that is, let's assume 22 karat of gold, and it is 100 or 200 grams or more, definitely there is zakat in it. So how to calculate it? Take the jewels back again, the gold, to the jeweler's shop and tell him how much does this cost without the diamonds. He will tell you it costs 10,000 euros, for example. Then you give 2.5% of that as zakat. In another word, you can divide it by 40 and the result is for zakat. And how to transfer the weight in 22 karat into the weight in 24 karat, there are lots of apps on the internet. You just write in Google search, for example, 100 grams of 22K gold equals how much in 24K gold, and it will give you the calculation. They can do this easily without needing to go to the jeweler shop if you wish. So there's no problem in that, inshallah. Noor says, when getting up from the first tashahhud, we have to do raf' al-yadayn, raising of the hands. So when should we say Allahu Akbar? Should we say it while getting up? But if we do this, then we would say it before raising our hands. Kindly explain. First of all, you said that we have to do raf' al-yadayn, and this is not true. Raising the hands is a sunnah. It is not mandatory. So if a person stands, bows, rises from ruku' and does not raise his hands, his prayer is totally valid and correct. Number two, raising the hands in prayer is done in 4 locations. 2 of them happens only once in the prayer, and the other 2 happens in every rak'ah. So the first place where it happens only once, in takbiratul ihram, in the beginning of the salat, you say Allahu Akbar, which is a pillar to say Allahu Akbar. But raising the hands is not. It's still a sunnah. So if I am in the masjid and I say, Stawu, i'tadilu, and I look right and left and the congregation are all ready, and I say, Allahu Akbar, without raising my hands, my prayer is totally valid, no problem. So this is number one, happens only once in the prayer. Number two is when I'm in the first tashahhud, whether it says Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, or Isha. All of these four salats have two tashahhud. The first one is after the second rak'ah. When I'm about to go to the third rak'ah, I always say Allahu Akbar and I raise my hands. And this happens only once in the salat. It doesn't happen in Fajr at all. The third time where I raise my hands happens in every rak'ah. And that is when I go for ruku' and I say Allahu Akbar and I do my ruku'. And the fourth time also happens in every rak'ah. And this is when I raise my head from ruku', I say Sami Allahu liman hamida. That's it. Now, when I'm at tashahhud, there are two schools of thought. Some say, when I finish my tashahhud and I want to go to the third rak'ah, while sitting, I say Allahu Akbar and I stand up. And this is followed by Sheikh Al-Albani and his students. The vast majority say, no. You stand up, and while you're standing up, you say Allahu Akbar, and once you stand up, you raise your hands. Sheikh, this means that we raise our hands after we say Allahu Akbar. The answer is yes. Three types or three ways that the Prophet was authentic upon reported about him between raising the hands and saying Allahu Akbar. So in the beginning, you can do this. Allahu Akbar, it's simultaneous. And you can do this. Allahu Akbar, you're raising the hands before saying Allahu Akbar. Or you can do this. Allahu Akbar. So you say takbir before. So you can have three ways. Either simultaneous or before or after. And all was reported by the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. So to answer your question, I'm inclined to say that you say Allahu Akbar between the sitting position and standing up. So you have to say it in between, not while you're sitting and not while you're standing up. As for the raising the hands, you do it when you fully stand up, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. Manhal says, please shed some light on cooperating with the people of innovation in religion. Some very famous contemporary students of knowledge say we must work together and not divide ourselves, and they say take the good and leave the bad. But how would a layman know this? Isn't this compromising the religion to please the people of innovation and shirk? Manhal, we have to be fair. Those who follow a very strict methodology are wrong, and those who follow a very lenient methodology are wrong. And the best of ways are the middle path. Meaning, there are people who are among the Salafi manhaj that would not even reply for the salam if given to them by the people of innovation. Remember, the people of innovation is not one shade. There are 50 shades, not necessarily of gray, but there are different number of shades of them. So there are people of innovation that are apostates, that are disbelievers, that commit blasphemy. Yes, those you don't reply to. People that leave the fold of Islam. People that claim that the Prophet ﷺ is not the last messenger. For example, that there are messengers after him. This is totally unacceptable and blasphemous. These are not considered to be Muslims. People who curse Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and they slander Mother Aisha. These are not Muslims. Don't even pay any attention to them. But there are people of innovation that have good aqeedah, yet they believe in the Mawlid. Not that they believe that the Prophet ﷺ is, like they say, Hadir Nadir, knows everything in the universe like he sees the palm of his hand. No, a'udhu billah. This is blasphemous. Whoever claims this is kufr. Or believes that the Prophet ﷺ was created from Allah's nur, astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayh. No, we're talking about someone who believes in Mawlid. He celebrates it every 12th of Rabi' al-Awwal. That's it. Or he has some adhkar he says after the salat. Or believes in Salat al-Tasabih, or believes in going out for 3 days or 10 days or 40 days with the jama'ah and staying in masjid. These are innovations, but they're not as severe as the super Sufis or those who go beyond the fold of Islam with their innovations. So we have to make the balance. Now, on the other hand, those who are so lenient and soft to the extent that they share the same platforms with them, they attend conferences and allow them to speak, and they speak, and they may invite others to their innovation, and you are a Salafi scholar sitting there saying nothing and just giving smiles and being cordial and maybe exchanging gifts. This is too much. This is not permissible. You have to hold your grounds, remain steadfast, and not allow innovation or sins that go against the religion to be manifested in such a way. You can't take part of it. So you have to strike the right balance, in the sense that, yes, I may go and visit people of innovation whose innovation is not that serious. I may visit them in their centers, speak to them, be kind to them, not endorse them, not advertise for them, not say that, oh, I've met this great sheikh, he's a great scholar, he's this. What are you doing? This is a man of innovation. You cannot polish him like this. But at the same time, you do not treat him as a kafir. You do not treat him that you don't reply to his salam. The guy comes in front of people and extends his hand to shake, and you say, you look the other way. A'udhu billah, what is this? He's not a kafir. He's among the little innovation or too mild innovation. I'm not endorsing his innovation, but I'm treating him as a Muslim. So I greet him, I speak to him, etc. But I don't share with him platforms of da'wah. And if I hear him say something that goes against my religion or my conviction, I would comment and I would forbid evil. But to sit in the same platform with people of innovation and they would say things that are wrong in my religion, in my aqeedah of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, yet I say, it's best not to comment. I should not speak. It's for the good. And the laymen are watching you, oh, Sheikh so-and-so is with them. This means that they're good. And they may follow them. No, this is totally not permissible, and one has to make a stand. But again, be balanced. You have to weigh the pros and cons of what you do. It's not always shun them and stay away from them and boycott them and don't even give salam to them. And it's not always they are most welcome and they're invited to come and attend our conferences and lectures, etc., and to preach in our masjids. No, this is not the right approach, and Allah knows best. We have a short break. Stay tuned, and inshallah, we'll be right back. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Allahi wa barakatuh. Today we're going to talk about the book Interactions of the Greatest Leader. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam raised their moral by mentioning the virtues in the hereafter. Abdullah bin Amr ibn al-As radiyallahu anhu reported that the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Do you know who will be the first to enter paradise among Allah's creations?" They said, "Allah and His Messenger knows best." He sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "The first that will enter paradise among Allah's creation are the poor muhajirin that are used to close the gaps that are fed for in the stronghold, and they are the ones that protect against evil things. One of them will die with his need in his chest, but he is unable to fulfill it. Allah the Almighty will say to whomever He wishes among His angels, go to them and greet them. The angels will say, we are the residents of your heavens and the best of your creation. Do you order us to go to them and greet them? Allah will say, they were slaves that worshipped me and did not associate anything with me unworthy. They were used to close the gaps that were fed, and they were used to do away with anything evil. One of them will die and with his need in his chest, but cannot find any way to fulfill it. So the angels go to them at that and will enter on them from every door, saying, peace be on you for your patience, and excellent is the final abode. Reported by Ahmad. Al-Albani ruled it authentic in his book, At-Ta'liqat al-
Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah and welcome back. Faisal Musa says, if I stay near a masjid and in that masjid there is no section for females, and from home it's clearly heard the whole salah, so can the sisters at home follow that congregational prayer from home and get its reward? This is a question that a lot of the Muslims ask, especially those who are in Mecca, for example. When they are in their hotel rooms and they can see in the distance the haram and they hear the salat loud and clear, so the sisters say, can we pray in our rooms? The answer is no. Question, why? If I may ask, sure, you can ask. The answer is that it is called congregational prayer. It is a prayer of jama'ah. And you, when you are at your home or at your hotel room, you're not with the congregation. You're praying alone. So even if you hear the prayer, you're not in the masjid. You're not connected to the rows of the masjid. And hence, this is not permissible. It is like someone sitting at the comfort of his home in front of a 50-inch screen, LCD or whatever, and there is live broadcasting the prayer from Mecca. And we live in the region, so it's the same time zone. So I said to myself, what am I doing? Let me join the Imam in prayer. I can see the Kaaba, I'm in the direction of the Kaaba, I can hear the Imam, I can see everything as if I'm there. So is my prayer valid? The answer, of course, no. No one says it's valid. Likewise, praying in your house is not valid. But Sheikh, what about those who pray in the open area outside of the masjid, in Haram, for example? Their prayer is valid because all the rows in the Haram are connected until outside of the fence or the walls, it is connected, so they are in the congregation. They take the same ruling because the rows are connected. But those living up in their rooms, they're not connected with it, and Allah knows best. Ahmed says, can a Muslim woman preach Islam on social media? There are so many women who are preaching Islam on social media without covering their face. Is this permissible? First of all, you have to ask yourself, what is the purpose of hijab? Why did Allah mandate hijab? Is it not to protect women from men and to protect men from women? Did not Allah Azza wa Jal mention in chapter 33, verse 53, Surah Al-Ahzab, that whenever you ask the mothers of the believers for something, let it be from behind the hijab. This is purer for your hearts and for their hearts. Allah is addressing this to whom? To the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, to Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali. And He's telling them that when you do so with your mothers, the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, the mothers of the believers, do so, meaning asking them for some utensils, from beyond a curtain, from beyond a hijab. Why? Because by doing so, this is purer for your hearts, O companions of Allah, and for the hearts of the mothers of the believers. What about our hearts? We know that their hearts are way purer than mine and yours. Our hearts are corrupt, are tarnished by sins and desires and whims. So aren't we in need of such purity more than them? Definitely yes. So this defies the purpose of hijab, that women come out on social media to preach Islam, let alone to do anything else. The question would come and be, aren't there enough men to do the job? Why would we need women to come on social media? Answer, because women like to ask other women, and there are some private issues that only women can address. That's good, but it has to be in all segregated section. It has to be done privately between women among themselves, not in public. Not when I type and I can see the sister giving da'wah on YouTube. Okay, Sheikh, she is reminding us of Allah Azza wa Jal. Yes, but men, a lot of them have corruption in their heart when they see such a woman, whether beautiful or average or even not beautiful. Shaitan is there. Shaitan comes to me and beautifies her and saying that, MashaAllah, she is righteous, she is good looking, and she is knowledgeable, and makes me adore her. This is how Shaitan works. This doesn't happen with men. Women look at the Sheikh and they don't fall in love with him because Allah did not mandate men to wear hijab. Allah mandated women to wear hijab because they are more fitna. And Mother Aisha, who is the most knowledgeable among women, may Allah be pleased with her, she is our mother, yet she never addressed men. She never addressed the companions. That's weird. That's strange. The Prophet of Allah ﷺ told us to take half of our deen from Aisha, because she was so close to the Prophet, she learned a lot of the deen, and she was among the companions that narrated a lot of hadiths. So we learn a lot from her, yet she never addressed them. She never did a sermon or a lecture in a masjid. Though she is the mother of the believers, no one would have ill intent with them, but this is the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal. Nowadays, unfortunately, women, Muslim women that is, I'm not referring to other, Muslim women have been brainwashed with the issue of empowerment. Nowadays, even women who memorized the Quran in the past fully, they have taken off the hijab, not the niqab, they have taken off the hijab totally. And they are calling other women for empowerment, for being independent, for standing up in the face of men, for rejecting their father and brother's guardianship, to travel alone without a mahram, to do anything that a man does. A'udhu billah. Is this Islam? These are delusional. These are ignorant imbeciles. Don't be fooled by them memorizing the Quran, because they have zero knowledge of the religion of Islam. What they're doing is exactly what shaitan wants them to do. Allah says in the Quran, وَقَرْنَ فِي بُيُوتِكُنْ. Stay in your homes. This is where a woman should be, taking care of her parents, taking care of her husband and family, giving the family a safe haven to flourish and to thrive in. But shaitan tells them, no, go out, work, mix with men. You can drive Formula One cars. You can be a pilot. You can be an engineer and build high-risers. You can do what is this? And there is no shaitan telling man, stay home. You can be a good housewife. You can be even pregnant and bear children. He doesn't say this to men. Why? Because he doesn't need to. All what he needs is to corrupt one woman, and this is more dangerous than 1,000 cannon. But Muslim women are heedless. They don't pay attention. And not only that, see, if you corrupt your own self, if you're sinful, tough luck, you'll go to hell alone. But if you are the leader, and if you are guiding other women, other girls to be corrupt like you, then you have a big problem. You'll take your seat next to Satan in hellfire. Why is that? Because you are a leader in taking people away, in guiding them astray, in showing them the path of hell. Why all of this is happening now? Because of the media, especially the social media. Women just want fame. Not only women, even men. Unfortunately, I've seen few samples of women and men saying heinous things, saying stupid things just to be famous. Like that person who came on an interview saying that I love Hebrew, I love the Israeli people. Is he a Muslim? What kind of Islam is this? It's just wanting to be famous. An old story, and I always repeat this, but it is important to comprehend the meaning of it. In the season of Hajj, like our season, the pilgrims caught a nomad, a Bedouin, who had feces in a bag wanting to soil the curtains of the Kaaba. So just before he did his heinous act, they caught him, they beat him, and they took him to the Muslim ruler. When they showed the Muslim ruler what he was about to do, he said, Subhanallah, are you a Muslim? And the nomad said, yes, I am a Muslim. And the judge said, this is impossible. How could you be a Muslim and do such a horrendous act? And the man said, I wanted to be mentioned among the Muslims, even if they curse me, no problem. I just wanted to be famous. A'udhu billah. You want to be famous, even if they curse you. So whenever they come to mention you, say, yeah, you remember that man? What's his name? May Allah curse him. He wanted to soil the curtains of the Kaaba with feces. This is what's happening in the social media. How many followers do you have? Oh, mashallah, you have so many followers. How did you gain these followers? By giving proper knowledge? By being sincere and teaching people? Let us avoid Islam. By giving them beneficial advice, or by interfering and saying anything that makes you popular, saying anything that makes you stand out in a crowd. A Syrian blogger a couple of days ago said that she enjoyed having illicit relationship outside of the marriage constitution. She admitted fornicating, committing adultery. Why would a woman do such a thing? She says, I invite women to do and share my experience. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. This is blasphemous. What is she doing? Why is she exposing herself like this? A prostitute, a slut. What else can you describe her? But why is she doing this? Even prostitutes hide their identity. The answer is because she wants exposure. She wants to be famous. She wants to get more likes and more followers. And this is what will break a person's back. Therefore, my advice is for the women, for the sisters, to fear Allah Azza wa Jal. Not to look after exposure. You can be beneficial to the ummah if you simply go to segregated places like so many da'iyas do. They attend conferences, but no one attends their lecture except women, and it's not recorded. You can do a lot by having students like this, but to come out in the media showing your face, showing your voice, and you know the restriction and prohibition of this, this is not very wise of you. Abdullah says, if we enter the masjid and the prayer has not been established yet, we begin to pray Tahiyatul Masjid, or do we pray the Sunnah? But what do we do if the Iqamah is being called? Shall we complete our Salat or break it to join the congregation? Well, first of all, we have to understand that when we look at the Sunnah, there is an instruction of the Prophet ﷺ not to sit in a masjid until we pray 2 rak'ahs. And the other instruction is that whenever the Iqamah is given, then there is no prayer valid. Now let's look at these two instructions first. Whenever you enter a masjid, you must not sit down until you pray 2 rak'ahs. These 2 rak'ahs were named and labeled by the jurors with Tahiyatul Masjid. Never you will find in the Quran or in the Sunnah the word Tahiyatul Masjid. This is a phrase, a description that the jurors made up. So this led the people to think that this is a specific prayer that we should pray other than the Sunnah of the Salat itself, which is wrong. Whenever you enter the masjid, pray the Sunnah, 2 rak'ahs before Fajr, 4 rak'ahs before Dhuhr, before sitting down. And this suffices for Tahiyyat al-Masjid because you did exactly what the Prophet said, ﷺ, which is praying 2 rak'ahs before sitting down. Part 2 of the question is that, okay, I started to pray and the Mu'adhin gave the Iqamah for the Fard prayer. What should I do? Well, scholars differed. And some of them said that you have to immediately exit your Salat. And some said, no, you have to complete your Salat till the end. And the middle path is the most authentic opinion, which is that if I started my Sunnah prayer and I'm in the first rak'ah, if the Iqamah is given to finish my first rak'ah and then stand up and finish my second rak'ah, the Imam would definitely begin his Salat. In this case, I have to finish and break my Salat, not continue. So I'm in the first rak'ah, I immediately walk and join the row and join the congregation. Giving salam or not doesn't matter. I just intended to break my salah. If I'm in the second rak'ah and then the Iqamah is given, I have to estimate, if I make ruku', if I only recite the Fatiha, no surah, and then make ruku', say Subhana Rabbi Azim once, Sami Allahu liman hamida Rabbana wa lakal hamd, Allahu Akbar, Subhana Rabbi al-A'la once, and Rabbi Ghfirli once, Subhana Rabbi al-A'la once, and I sit down and make the tashahhud and the salutation, offer salam. and there is time for me to join before the Imam gives the first takbir, then continue with your prayer. If you estimate and say, nope, I'm not going to make it, I'm going to be 5 or 10 seconds late, and the Imam would give the takbir before I join the row, in this case, break your prayer. So you have to be the judge. Some of the mu'adhin make the iqamah in a couple of minutes. He takes his time in his iqamah, and some do it in like 10 to 15 seconds, faster than a Tesla P100S. So you have to estimate. If you think that you're not going to make it to reach the takbir with the Imam, the first takbir, then break your salat and go ahead. Farhan says, I'm a medical student and we often dissect organisms like earthworms, roaches, frogs. Is it a sin to kill these creatures for the educational purposes? Is dissection allowed? The answer is yes. This is permissible. Such worms and insects and animals are okay to dissect, but when it is in the case of animals, you have to try your level best to kill it without inflicting any pain. So you cannot, while it's alive, dissect it without anesthesia or drugging it, because then that would be torturing an animal or a living soul. But if it's dead, if you cut its head and you slaughter it or kill it without any pain inflicted, and then you dissect it as you wish, there is no problem in that, inshallah. Maliha says, can a woman use fake nails to adorn herself for looking more beautiful in front of her husband? What's the Sharia ruling on it? It's an issue of dispute. The most authentic opinion is that fake eyelashes and fake nails are prohibited in Islam, because this is like connecting and having extensions. Nails we're ordered to cut short, as it goes against the fitrah. Putting extensions or fake nails goes against the teaching of Islam, and hence it is prohibited. Muniba says, my wiswas is mainly due to my intention. I constantly feel I am doing it wrong, so in my prayer I think about it for ages and then end up breaking it. I also make the intention multiple times. Does thinking about intention in salat for too long break the salat? The answer is no. First of all, you should know that this is Satan messing up with your mind. Whenever you have these whispers, whenever you become an OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder patient, and you get these frequent wiswas and whispers, what is my intention? Did I make this right intention? Should I break my salat? Should I do this? You should know that this is from shaitan. Ignore it and move on. Continue with your prayer. Even if you did not make an intention, continue your prayer. After a while, by fighting Satan's whispers, he'd leave you for a couple of weeks and come when you are ready. But if you go on and break your salat, he won more ground. And he'll keep on doing this until he wins the whole battle. So, or the whole war. You should ignore this and avoid it. And you also have to ask yourself, who's advising me whether my intention is good or not? Is it an angel? Definitely not. This is shaitan. And by having this logic dialogue with yourself, you know that shaitan is messing up with you, and then you know how to win him. Safiya says, is tajweed mandatory when praying salat, reciting Quran, making dhikr, etc.? Tajweed is a form of beautifying your recitation, and it is mainly for the Quran. And it has two meanings. One, to perfect how to pronounce the letters in Arabic. So you don't say dod, you say dod. And you do not say za, you say the. You take your tongue out. So this is part of the tajweed that is mandatory. You have to pronounce the letters in Arabic to the best of your ability. The second type of tajweed, which is mostly common among Muslims, is the beautification of the letters. So al-mad, extension. إِذَا السَّمَاءُ انفطرت. So there is mad, السماء, and there is إخفاء, انفطرت. نون ساكنة, one of the letters of إخفاء afterwards. But if someone says إِذَا السَّمَاءُ انفطرت, his recitation is totally right. Tajweed is 0. So this type of tajweed is not mandatory, and definitely it is not even recommended when making dhikr, etc. Final question is from Zareen. She says, what are the forbidden times to pray? Is this only for voluntary prayers or for fard that was delayed, or a sunnah that was missed? And can we recite Quran or do sujood al-tilawa, sujood al-shukr, etc.? First of all, the restricted times for prayer is for voluntary prayers that have no legitimate reason, which means that fard prayer can be prayed any time of the day and night. There is no restriction, none whatsoever for it. And likewise, making up for the missed sunnah, you can pray that day and night. Sujood al-shukr, sujood al-tilawa are not prayers, so you can do them 24/7. There is no restriction for that. Voluntary prayers that have no reason, I have nothing to do, I just want to pray a couple of rak'ahs. No, sit down. In the restricted times, which are after Fajr prayer, after you finished and completed Fajr prayer until the sun rises, when the sun is at the zenith, exactly in the middle of the sky, before adhan of Dhuhr by 5 minutes almost, and after Asr prayer, whenever you finish your Asr prayer, until the sun sets. These are the restricted times of prayer. This is all the time we have. Until we meet next time, I leave you fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.